History regards the Nabateans as pagans, builders of elaborate tombs and temples, and even places of sacrifice. But according to one man's remarkable new theory, history has badly misjudged the Nabateans. Their most famous building is the Treasury. This, he says, is not a royal tomb, but something quite different.
So I started to analyze the facade here. Suddenly the numbers that I got with came into a calendar. And from that time I figured out that there's no calendar without no timing tools. So I started researching for the timing tools, and that was the beginning.
Ma'moun Alnawafleh used to be a tour guide and travel agent here in Petra. But over the years he grew less and less convinced by the story he was telling his guests, until one day he was struck by an idea that this city was in fact designed by a race of astronomers and scientists.
They used sundials, they used water clocks, they used star watching facilities, pools, and they used rainfall measuring tools, and that's in order to know the beginning of the seasons, and for agricultural uses, industrial trading. So they used all these tools, and these tools are available now at this city.
According to tradition, the Treasury got its name from a legend that pirates hid their gold here. Every day the sun hits its facade, and every day the sun illuminates a different number of these holes in the wall. This, says Ma'moun Alnawafleh, is how the Nabateans marked the passage of days of the year. And for the first time, it might actually explain why these holes were put there.
So what was the theory before about what these holes in the facade were supposed to be?
Well, in fact, nobody had any idea, so it was always surprising for them when people asked. So some of them were saying that there were holes where they used to stick a piece of wood to hold the head, the sacrificed head.
It's a pretty significant part of the building for people just to have no explanation for.
Yeah, but because nobody ever thought of a calendar being there.
And there's no evidence to support this idea. For me, it seems to be a speculation.
Dr. Ziad Al-Salamin is also a native of Petra and the author of several books on its archaeology.
There's no clear function of these holes.
So if the measurements that Ma'moun has taken show that the sun marks a different number of them every day and they represent a calendar.
So far we don't have any information or any assumption can be presented about these holes.
But this one doesn't fit?
Not all.
The numbers may be coincidental. The facade has 12 columns, possibly for the months of the year. Those columns are topped with 7 fruits for the days of the week, looked over by 4 eagles representing the seasons. This entire city, says Ma'moun Alnawafleh, is filled with tools to measure time and weather.
So the notches in that circle represent the days of 3 months?
3 months, yes. And by the end of the season, this whole circle will be filled with light.
Some seem obvious, like these giant sundials, but others less so.
Well, here on top of the cliff above the Treasury building is probably the exact point where the two different theories about who the Nabateans were take their fork in the road. According to the old school of thought, this is a basin for collecting the blood from religious sacrifices, which is then channeled out through here. But according to the new thinking, these precise measurements are part of a system of water clocks that was used to mark the time on cloudy days and at night when the sundials down the hill were no good.
Archaeologist Dr. Ahmed Al-Malaina isn't convinced by this new theory either, but he does say it needs a closer look.
Ma'moun's theories is very interesting, very exciting, but something is missing. The scientific interpretation and even the numerical interpretation, the modeling, 3D modeling using computer in order to know really if there's a point symmetry and if it works.
Ma'moun Alnawafleh unveiled his theory in 2008 at an international archaeology conference in Rome, having spent the previous 10 years of his life researching it after quitting his job.
And that was very expensive, to spend 10 years of your life for researching about something with no income and in top confidential way. So yeah, that was very difficult.
But it's now paying off. He's just been employed by the Jordanian government to continue his research. And it may be that in time, tour guides here could be telling a very different story about what Petra was and the people that built it. Ben Knight, ABC News, Petra.